I'm doing all right. It's Cody there, back again. I'm here today to do a video on HMP Guys Marsh down in Shaftesbury, Cat C jail. Been all over the papers in the last day or two on the just the running riot of the prisoners, to be honest. Like, it's a no-go area for prison officers, and the lads are cooking steak in their cells and pure spice and hooch, which to those that don't know is prison alcohol. Like openly cutting open drugs, like making spliffs, getting hammered. There was a kid passed out on the floor through spice or through prison alcohol, through hooch as we know it, things like that. So yeah, the prison system is just absolutely broken. I'm speaking as a former prisoner. I served in a Cat A here in Manchester called Strangeways, and also a Cat B in Salford, which is known as Forest Bank, which is run by Sodexo, or as I call it, Butlins with bars. Just the problem with prisons, I mean, this Liz Truss woman, she's backtracked on prison reforms that, like, Michael Gove set and all this stuff, and the simple fact is they don't know how to deal with it. Now, how can it be that I'm a thick, uneducated street kid, right, from Manchester, but I know what to do to sort out the prison crisis? Right, the prisons are overcrowded, right? So what they need to do, and there's still IPP prisoners, those that don't know, in prison for public protection prisoners, right? Which means they don't have a release date. They just, because they're a danger to the public apparently, but it's a load of shit. IPP prisoners suffer horrifically because if you're doing life in prison, you've got a whole life tariff. You know you're doing life. If you're doing 10 years, you know you're doing 5 years. When you're an IPP prisoner, the simple fact is you don't know when you're getting out. So it's just disgraceful, to be honest. I mean, the whole system's fucked. What they need to do, they need to cut loose the IPP prisoners. They need to release them. Anyone under a certain crime, they need to release and put them into like work programs, or give them community orders where they can serve the punishment in the community. That would then free up space in prisons, which would then free up money because there wouldn't be meals for them, they wouldn't have to accommodate them and things like that, and then they can focus on the prisoners that they've got. And even though I am for the prisoners, I would like to see them get more prison officers on board so that the lads can get association, not so much in your Cat C's and stuff, but Cat B and Cat A, I'd like to see them get more association. So they need more prison officers, more screws, so the lads can have association and exercise and stuff. Because association and exercise it chills you out and stuff. When you get association and exercise, it helps your mental health because you're socializing with people. We're social people. We're genuinely social creatures. Do you know what I mean? So when you get association and exercise and stuff, it's a big like, you enjoy it and stuff like that, and it's good for your mental health. If you're locked behind your doors for 24, 46 hours because there's not enough prison officers to let them out to safely control and maintain them, then what happens is the lads end up kicking off. They can't make phone calls to their loved ones. Some of them might be ill. Some of them, like the girlfriends, the kids, things like that. Then the knock-on effect of that is because there's not enough staff. By the time you've got a visit, like by the time they've cleared security, they're only getting like 40, 45-minute visits. So I'd like to see more prison officers in prisons. And obviously, I know they can't afford to do that because of the government cutbacks and stuff. But if you release thousands of prisoners and put them on community orders and put them back into the community, then it would free up space in prisons, and it would free up money as well, and sort out the overcrowding problem. And then the prison officers can deal with the lads that are there. But yeah, anyway, back to this this story on the prisoners. I mean, the simple fact is prisoners run prisons. People that are in the know will agree. Prisons are fast becoming no-go areas for prison officers. I mean, the fact that these lads are taking pictures like on the wing, on the landing, like videos and stuff like that, pictures, lads collapsed and stuff off spice and off hooch, which is known as prison alcohol. It's like fermented yeast and all sorts of stuff. And it's when you're in prison, your tolerances to alcohol and drugs are greatly decreased because you're not getting it as often. Well, you're not. No, let me rephrase that. You're not supposed to get it as often as you do. So your tolerances is not as high. But saying that, there's so much drugs, spice, legal highs in prison that the overall price of drugs and legal highs has actually come down. Because if you're the only person on the wing selling it, you can charge a premium, right? You can charge top dollar. But if you've got 3 or 4 lads on the wing that are selling spice or legal the drugs or the legal high, spice is the most popular legal high in prison. Very, very, very sought after. Well, if you've got 3 or 4 lads on the wing selling it, you can't charge a premium because if people will undercut you and then the lads will go to that person instead. It's all down to supply and demand. But yeah, the lads cooking steak in the cells now. It could be that they're buying it on canteen and they're just cooking it on the thing. But like I say, the spice epidemic within prisons. The prison that I was in, Forest Bank, where I finished my sentence, that's actually the B1, as it's known, Bravo 1 wing, right, is actually known by the screws as the Mamba wing, or like Mamba spice, all same thing, legalised, right? Anyone caught in possession of it, under the influence of it, they go there. The lack of prison officers has had effects on violence between the inmates and also attacks on prison officers, because the attack by prison officers on the lads on the prison officers, the lads on the lads attacking each other. It's as mad as this sound, right? Like, I was in Forest Bank, and as mad as this sound, right, some of my funniest moments and some of my best times were in prison. And that's simply because there's no law and order. That, right, to those that don't know, right, like, when you see categories of prisons, right, let me explain. Cat A, which, like, you're talking Belmarsh, Franklin, Wakefield, Strangeways, all these sorts of jails, right, they're maximum security, right? So there's bars on top of bars on top of bars, right? It's regimented, you're marched everywhere when you go to visits and everything, escorted everywhere, things like that. It's very disciplined, right? But still rife with drugs, still like rife with mobile phones, still rife with drugs and legalised, right? Now, then you go to a Cat B prison. A Category B prison is, there's less security, there's less prison officers, you've got more freedom, you've got more association, you have more exercise. Then you go to your Cat C. Your Cat C's, right, if you're doing like a 10-year sentence, right, you'll get categoried. So you might be a Cat B. Then eventually, to get you ready for release, you'll go to a Cat C. And then eventually from a Cat C, you'll go to a Cat D, which is a Cat D is an open prison. There's one in Thorncross near Warrington. And then you get like in Kirkham near Blackpool, and you get to go out on like weekends, like day release and weekends and stuff, and then you just return to the prison. So what I'm saying in theory is the lower the category of prison, the more you can get away with. And like I said, I did an interview recently with the media and stuff like that, and like I do a lot of interviews now with prison reforms, prison issues, like all these sorts of things, policing issues, prison reforms, prison issues, legal highs, drugs, all that sort of things. I'm for the prisoners, man. Do you know what I mean? I'm buzzing that the lads are allowed to run riot. It's scary for the law-abiding citizens and things like that think, oh, that prisons are like, you get the posh snobs. Oh, prisons are they're there to reform people. Well, the only person that can reform you is you. It's as simple as that. Nobody can reform you. If a prisoner if a lad gets out of prison, no amount of silly courses that the lads do are going to help you, right? Like, if you want to reform, you will reform. But prison actually has the opposite effects of what people think it has. If you're in prison, right, imagine being in school in the naughty class, right? If you're in the naughty class with all the other lads, you learn even worse behaviour, don't you? Start fucking about more so, right? So when you're in prison, right, think of it as a college. Think of prison as a college for criminals, right? Now, what you do, right, you're mixing with 100, 200 other prisoners, right, that have got experience in every crime across the board, from fraud to murder to guns to drugs to assaults to like so many things that people can do. So when you're in prison and you're in this college for criminals, as I like to call it, then what happens is behaviour's learned, and then they'll be like, oh, listen, he said, oh, the guy that's put me in here, I want to kill him, like a hypothetical situation. Oh, I want to kill him. And then he could say, oh, listen, yeah. And then he could be chatting to one of the lads, and the lad will say, listen, my guy there, he'll shoot him, or he'll give you the shoot, or he'll say you the shoot, or so then you end up buying a fucking firearm. Well, here's his number. When you get out, give him a bell. Or if you like, you're skint when you're going to get out, you're like, listen, yeah, I'll give you the number for my boy there. He's got a load of stolen credit cards. He'll flog them to you. You do what you're doing. You sell them on, make a quick buck, right? So that's the effect prison has on you. You actually learn. I learned more in prison about. I'm clued up anyway. I'm a street kid, right? But I learned more about crime in prison than I could have ever have done on the streets, because obviously, when you're in prison, you've got a lot of time to think and stuff like that, and you mix it with all these other criminals and stuff. And right, people say some do-gooders will be like, oh, well, these prisoners are not very clever, are they? Because they got caught, right? They might have got caught for one crime, but for the one crime they committed, they probably got away with fucking 50, right? Across the board of every single crime you can fucking think of. So don't have that mentality. Do you know what? There's some actually really good. This is the thing, right? People think that prisoners, right, are actually bad people. They're not bad people, you know. Some of them have just like they're a product of their environment. It's learned. They've come from broken homes. They're just angry growing up. They're angry at the system. They're angry at like sick of being on the estates, having no money. So they deal with the drugs and all these sorts of things. So yeah, I mean, it goes on, but there are some very, very intelligent, decent, nice people in prison. But the way you treat when you're in prison, it makes you angry at the system, the police, the government. And what happens, like when I went to people keep asking me, why do you keep doing interviews with the media on prison issues and policing issues and stuff? Because the simple fact is I shouldn't have been to prison. I should not have been in prison. I got stitched up royally by the police, right? The police knew there was no evidence against me, right? But the police still proceeded to charge me, refuse me bail. Then I went to court. Then the Crown Prosecution Service and the police are all in cahoots, right? Opposed me bail. So I ended up in jail, right? With no evidence. The same thing that my charge got dropped on is the same thing that I was held on. So how does that work? It's just a fucked up situation. So I have a big distaste for the government, for the police, for the Ministry of Justice, for the Crown Prosecution Service. So the lads suffer in silence, because what will happen is, like this story here on Guys Marsh prison and stuff, it makes me laugh, because if the videos and the pictures didn't get out, and the journalists contacted the prison, the prison would tell the journalists, and mark my words with this is a fact, what the prison would say is, we do not discuss individual prisoners and individual cases, right? In other words, there's a problem on the outside, but we're the prison are not going to let it get out because it's embarrassing and stuff like that. So that's a good thing with these lads having mobile phones in prisons, because they're able to get these stories out. And it just shows the Ministry of Justice for what they are. This Liz Truss woman, right, this new Justice Secretary, I don't know how she's got a fucking job. She's clueless, man. She went in front of a committee the other week, and she literally should have just said, I haven't got a fucking clue what I'm doing. I'm in over my head. I haven't got a clue. And you know what, right? Prison reform isn't a real thing, right? Prison reform is a made-up word so that people like Liz Truss can have a job, wear a suit, feel important, and get paid hundreds of thousands of pounds, right? When in theory, what does she know about crime? What, because she sat there, she went to university, statistics have crossed her desk. Does that make her qualified to set rules and to set prison life? To tell the lads how they're going to live in prison? No, absolutely not. And it's disgusting, and it sickens me, to be honest, that an overeducated, like underqualified woman lacking common sense, who was probably a millionaire's daughter or something with a silver fucking spoon in her mouth, has no experience of crime, probably sits behind a house in a gated fucking house somewhere, CCTV cameras everywhere, driving 2 or 3 cars, got a house abroad, right? No experience of crime, probably lives in a nice gated area, right? But yet has the audacity and is given a job to tell criminals how you're going to live in prison. She's clueless, people. She really is clueless. The prison officers, right? And I've met, right? I genuinely don't like them, but to be honest with you, I've got to be honest. Like, I met some really good ones and stuff who treated me very, very, very decently when I was in jail, and I don't dislike them. But overall, a lot of prison officers swap the personality for a set of keys, and it really, really like does me head in, because they think that the big and the bad and everything. A lot of prison officers are on steroids and things like that, and a lot of prison officers are also corrupt. Another thing I wanted to speak about as well, on top of the Guys Marsh thing, like with the drugs and the mobile phones and legalising the hooch and stuff, is that certain prisons, right? Apparently, I've read this just recently, like yesterday, that they're trying to stop people masturbating in prison, so masturbating, wanking, getting yourself off, right? I just want to address this issue, right? When I was in prison, right, I always had my cock in my hand, right? It's just a fact. I was extremely horny, and I have needs just like everybody else does. I know I'm talking candidly now, but this is a fact. So, yeah, but you're trying to stop people getting themselves off in prison, right? Do you really want, like, I mean, Strangeways hold 1,600 people, right? Do you really want 1,600 guys not to wank themselves silly, so they're pent up, they're angry, and all that testosterone running through the body? Really? No, you don't, because it's going to have explosive consequences. And do you know what the ironic thing is with the Ministry of Justice trying to stop fucking masturbation in prisons? You can actually get nicked for it. Like, people that don't know, you can get nicked in prison for it, where you can get put on report and all this sort of stuff, end up before the SO or whatever. Like, you can get nicked for it, right? And you can lose your IEP status, your incentives and privileges. You can lose that. So, like, but the ironic thing is about no masturbation in prison is simply this: prison officers, female prison officers, are having sexual relationships with inmates. So how does that work? I don't know. It's stupid, isn't it? So they want to stop masturbation, right? They can't even stop drones coming over the walls with fucking legal eyes and drugs and mobile phones and weapons, right? So how the fuck are they going to stop masturbation, people? Absolutely clueless they are. Absolutely clueless, right? And female screws are fucking having sex with the lads, wanking them off in the shower, fucking having sexual relationships, writing into them, sending them money, flirting with them, all the usual stuff. So they want to stop masturbation, but they can't stop drones and legalise and mobile phones and weapons being sent over the wall. Okay then. Prison system's absolutely fucking corrupt and flawed. It's disgusting. It's a joke. The lads are having the run of the fucking prisons, which is a good thing. But where's it going to end? Where is it going to end? Prison wings in prisons are becoming no-go areas for prison officers. Prison officers are locking themselves in the office and letting the lads run riot because they're scared. The prison officers will say, "Oh, we're not scared," but they are. The interview I did a few weeks ago, right, on Strangeways, the Prison Officers Association agreed with me what I was saying, with the prisoners are running the prisons, and all this sort of stuff. Like I say, when I'm doing these videos and I do these interviews, I'm not doing it to stitch the fucking lads up, right? I like to show the Ministry of Justice up for what they are. And also, the lads suffer in silence, right? They get a kicking from the screws, right? And then the families will see that they've been beat up on a visit, and then they'll go to the families of the prisoners will go to the media, and the media will say, right, we'll do the story, but we've got to speak to the prison and see what they say. Obviously, the prison have got a blanket canvas, a blanket policy. We do not discuss individual cases, discuss individual prisoners. So then the media can't run the stories, right? So it's down to people like me who have got a voice and have got a lot of contacts within the media to actually speak out for prisoners on prisoners' behalf, so prisoners don't suffer in silence. And that's the reason I do it. I don't get paid for it. I don't want to get paid for it. It's just me sticking up for the prisoners, letting them have a voice. But this Guys Marsh prison is indicative of what prisons are like here in 2016. If you're watching this from abroad, American prisons and stuff like that, they're hardcore jails, man. Over there, man, fuck me. like they're like party fucking hubs. Some of these prisons legalize drugs, mobile phones on tap, sex with prison officers if you want it, free meals a day, free sex, free food, free accommodation. Got a TV in your cell there. You can get a job on the wing if you want it. You can sell drugs from prison. You can sell mobile phones from prison. You can have drones flown over the wall and deliver stuff to your cell like you would a pizza or a takeaway. Yeah, so and then the Ministry of Justice want to stop masturbation. So we won't stop what's going on in prisons with the prisoners running riot, the drugs, the mobile phones, the legalise, the drones, all this sort of stuff, the sex, the fucking the violence, the prison alcohol hooch. But we're going to try and stop masturbation. Well, good luck with that. Right, listen guys, I'll take care anyway. Speak to you soon. Bye.